if you want to get started in hand therapy or new to hand therapy, and you think about working with that shoulder patient, it can feel really intimidating and overwhelming to get started, but I promise you it's totally possible for you to do it. You don't have to be a shoulder expert in order to get started with working with patients with shoulder problems.
If you've been searching for the perfect in-person course to elevate your manual therapy skills, this is it. Whether you're an OT or PT, the 2-day manual therapy course is designed to help you master treatments for hand and arm injuries like never before. In just 2 days, Huang will walk you through exactly what it takes to treat any upper extremity injury from the hand to the shoulder. You'll not only learn powerful manual techniques, but also develop a next-level confidence in your approach. You'll leave knowing how to deliver exceptional results for your patients, all while protecting yourself from injury. The next day is on August 29th to 30th in Albany, New York. For more information on joining, click the link in our description.
Now that's me saying as somebody who started where you started as well. I was in skilled nursing, acute care before I moved into outpatient therapy, and I remember subbing for like one day in outpatient. First patient, shoulder, big guy, and all I knew was like he had shoulder pain, and I just didn't know what to do with him. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I want to work in hand and I want to work in outpatient, I want to become a certified hand therapist one day. And what am I going to do if I don't know how to work with this one patient? But we all start from somewhere, and I'm going to help you make it easier. So if you have limited experience, start here first. And I just want to make it really, really simple. Just break down how to treat this shoulder no matter where you are, right? No matter what setting you're working in, and no matter what you've got. Like, let's just break it down, make it easy. We often think, oh my God, I have to start studying for this. I have to start studying about rotator cuffs. I have to start studying about frozen shoulder. The problem with that is you think you have to start studying anatomy and you start memorizing protocols, but then what happens is you don't know how to actually quote unquote treat them, right? So let's work backwards a little bit. Right? Let's work backwards. I've got my handy dandy board. Let's work backwards a little bit to make it easier for you, okay? So we often think, oh my God, we have to know everything. Shoulder, all right? All the diagnosis, right? We think, oh my God, we have to know that. And then second is evaluation, right? But we might need to start a treatment, right? Might need to start a treatment. And there's a way to break down diagnoses so that it's just so simple for you. Is it a bone problem? Is it a ligament problem? Is it a tendon problem? It really just breaks down to those three fundamental things. Yes, there are some other ones, but let's just keep it nice and easy, right? Because majority of the time, people have a bone problem, a tendon problem, or a ligament problem. And sometimes they have both, but what's the primary problem? So if you're like me and you worked in a skilled nursing facility, acute care facilities, before moving into outpatient facility, if you're working with older people, what is the most common thing that they have? A lot of them have wear and tear of their shoulders. So you might have people with arthritis, and arthritis over a period of time like tears down that tendon. So then if they can't lift up their arm, then they most likely have a tendon, like a rotator cuff tendon problem. And they might have both, right? They might have arthritis that caused a lot of those tendon issues, or they had those tendon issues left untreated, caused arthritis over a period of time. Either way, what we want first, right, from treatment, so it fundamentally breaks down into these simple categories, right? They're lacking range of motion. They have too much pain, and they don't have enough function, right? Majority of the time, if you treat these things, if you get them better range of motion and you help them have less pain, then they're going to be able to be more functional, right? So we're going to think about treatment first instead of just this evaluation part. So I say that, let's say you start out in an outpatient just like mine. Like when I took over that position, like I went from acute care into an outpatient position, one of the first things I did was I just took over a caseload. So one of the easiest thing you can do, right, is just do what the other person did prior. How easy is that, right? How easy is that? So let's say, for example, you get started with a patient of yours. So here's something that I always do. When I don't know exactly what's going on with somebody with a shoulder problem, let me just see how you're doing today, right? Can you lift up your arm? Perfect. You get a baseline. Can you put your hands here? Okay, great. And how bad is that? Is that mild, moderate, or severe? Like, I just do mild, moderate, or severe. Like, let's just break it down, make it real simple, right? How is that? What are you not able to do? So you can kind of get a sense of how they are. So if someone has pain, then you start to think, oh, well, what can I do let's list out our treatment stuff. Like, we have modalities. What do I mean by modalities? There's heat pack, cold pack, e-stim, ultrasound, kinesis. Like, what are the things that you know from a modality standpoint? What are your tools in your toolbox? You can do some manual. So do you have manual therapy techniques, in your toolbox? What about exercises / activities? What are in your toolbox that you know how to do? So you have to have something in the toolbox in order to be able to pull from it and do something in terms and form of a fashion of a treatment, right? So if someone has pain, then one of the things that you can do is modalities. You can use a hot pack. So I'm a big fan of using hot pack if they have arthritis, let's say. If they're very stiff, then you can use a hot pack, right? That just eases them into it. No is not paid for, right? Here's the thing, is you can pair it with an exercise or an activity while they have the hot pack on, and boom, it's a billable time. So one of the things that I love to do is, they're called table slides. So I rest their arms up on the table, and then while the hot pack is on there, let's say you leave it on for like 2 or 3 minutes, warms up their shoulder, and they can start to slide their body forward and backwards, right? And so it's an opportunity for you to get a little bit of a gentle stretch, moving their shoulders, moving their shoulder joints, moving their muscles a little bit. You can have them sitting there with a hot pack, and you can have them do scapular elevation and depression, elevation and depression. You can have them do scapular retraction, protraction, retraction, protraction. So these are really basic general exercises that you can pull in, right? So that's number 2, exercises. Just real gentle. And these things can help to reduce some of their pain. Once you take the hot pack off, then you can do manual therapy, right? So now manual therapy requires some skills. I remember coming in and I was like, what do I do, right? And so definitely you got to learn some manual techniques. I know they don't teach all this in school, but you want to find, people, one of the most common problems people have when they have shoulder pain is they have deltoid pain. So deltoid pain, you can tell I was teaching a different class. So I'll draw it off. Okay, so deltoid inserts right here. So up here, inserts right here. And usually if you just run your hand over there, if they have shoulder pain, you're gonna feel like this bump. It's like this bloop, right? And if you press right here, that's where the deltoid inserts. It's very painful when people have shoulder problems. And that's because the deltoid is the workhorse of the arm. So no matter what happens, the deltoid is just working. She's working hard and she is tired, right? And so you have an anterior, a middle, and a posterior. And so one of the best things, I used to do muscle bending. So you just grab up that muscle and you just bend it around. And for a lot of your patients who have deltoid pain, it's gonna feel really nice, right? They're gonna be like, oh my God, do some more of that, right? When the arm is by the side, the deltoid is really long and stretched out. When you have the arm rested up on the table, you can shorten it. And one thing to do is you can come up, so from the distal end, come up to the proximal end, and you could work that, and then it can help ease some of their pain, right? So again, it's just manual techniques. You can use manual techniques. What's another manual technique in your toolbox, right? Besides working the muscle. So sometimes you just have to find where the muscles are. And this is a learned skill. And if you don't know some of these manual skills, you can watch some videos. Like I put a lot of videos on my YouTube. You can join a class. I have a manual therapy on demand class, so you don't have to wait for that class to come to your town. A lot of people use video to learn, and so that's why I created the manual therapy on demand course. So you don't have to wait for it to come to your town, but you can learn some techniques that are just really easy, that's going to get you great results really fast with your patients without having to, quote unquote, know every last muscle. You actually don't. And still get great results. So try some manual techniques. So these are all things in your toolbox, hopefully, that you could use to reduce someone's pain, right? Manual therapy can also mean passive range of motion, right? So someone who is really painful, maybe laying them down in supine and just working a little bit of external rotation. And here, when you do external rotation, you can do cross friction massage to the anterior deltoid, and then the pecs is right here. So you can do some manual therapy right here. You can stretch them into internal rotation, right? And you can also stretch them into forward flexion. Now here's a little trick. So talking about that deltoid, we have a posterior deltoid back here, right? And just doing cross friction right here. Let me see, I have a spot right here, right? Oh, let me see, where is it? It's like right here. That's can be really sore, and that's gonna run into your triceps. And so just doing a little massage there, a little trigger point, can really just ease up some of that pain. And then what you're looking for is better range of motion with less pain. And there you got some results for your patients, right? Then once you've gotten the pain down, so you're using modalities, you're using manual, and then now you want to pair it up more specifically with exercises. So there's a million different exercises you can do, all the same things, but I think that most importantly, it comes down picking the right exercise. And it's very counterintuitive to think, oh, I need to get forward flexion, so I've got to do more forward flexion. Don't forget about shoulder extension. Go into shoulder extension, and when you go into shoulder extension, not only will you stretch all of this, work the back muscle, but you'll be amazed at how much forward flexion you can actually get for your patients. I'm actually working with a family member who is in a skilled nursing facility getting therapy. She's actually getting therapy for her knees. She had total knee replacement. And this is such a great opportunity if you're like new to hands or want to move into hands, right? You're working with maybe an older patient population and they need their arms. They need their arms to help them with their legs. And so my family member is going to OT and they're doing all this strengthening up here, and they're moving their arms across, right? That's fine and dandy. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that exercise. The problem is that those exercises are not helping her with the one thing that she needs to do, which is to push herself up. So we want to do exercises that force them to push down, because those are the muscles that they need to use when they're pushing down. So I would love it if that therapist did tricep extension, did shoulder extension, did some push downs, right? It's kind of hard if you don't have the equipment, but that's okay. You could hold their band for them. But basically it's this move. They have to push themselves down. So you're doing a lot of scapular depression, right? So scapular depression, that's gravity eliminated. So there's no resistance. But imagine if you could push something down, that would help it. Anything where you're pulling down, anything where you're pulling back, that's gonna get you those, muscles around the scapula. That's going to help the arms stay strong. You can do external rotation. You can do internal rotation. Those are all real basic exercises, but you know what? Basic is good. Basic is good. She needs those exercises. And you would be amazed that people can tolerate more weight than you give them credit for. So push them to the max, obviously based on their medical history and stuff like that. This woman does not have cardiac issues, and so go to town. She needs it. And a lot of your patients need more than less, right? As long as they don't have pain. Now, if they have pain, you can't do super heavy strengthening like that. So just understand that pain is an indicator of being able to progress or not, right? But there you have it. You have some tools in your toolbox because you know how to use certain modalities. It's really all about picking from that toolbox, right? And then over a period of time, you can add more and add more to your toolbox and be able to select. It's called prescription. Select or prescribe the correct exercises in the correct order with the frequency or intensity in which you want that person to be able to do. But pick some modalities, do some manual, and then pick the right exercises. Now, inside the mentorship program, I run a mentorship program. Every month we go over a new topic and we discuss these exact things and more. But we're going to be covering shoulders. We cover shoulder diagnoses such as fractures, labrum tears, rotator cuff tears, and whether you're working with an older population, with an adult population, with an active population, I'll help you to be able to figure out how to evaluate it, how to treat it appropriately, and just be able to get great results for your patients. As therapists, we are always looking for that turning point experience, meaning they're like, wow, this is like, I can't believe I feel better. I have less pain, I have more motion, I can reach my bra. Like, those are the things that we want our patients to leave saying, We don't want them to be a silent dropout, right? So what's a silent dropout? A silent drop-off is somebody who just disappears off your schedule. All of a sudden, they're too busy for therapy, right? Oh, there's some excuse or another. But what happened is they just didn't get better, but they're too nice to tell you. And we don't want those. We want more and more people to believe that therapy can help them, that they could get the best possible results, either avoiding surgery or, even after surgery, what's possible for them. So if you're new to therapy, we all started new at some point, right? If you're new to therapy, if you're new to hand therapy, if you want to learn more, there's a lot of opportunities for you to develop your clinical skills and be able to create that turning point experience for your patients and for yourself, because it just feels really good when your patients are like, wow, you really helped me. So I hope this helped you. Like, subscribe, do all the things. And if you want to work more with me, all the links are included below. And I hope to see you inside one of the programs.